So today we're going to dive into a story that really shows how one small observation can totally spark a massive change. We're going to look at a case study that shows the incredible power a single idea can have when it really takes root in a community.
And really, it all boils down to a question I bet we've all asked ourselves at some point: how can just one person actually change their world? We're going to explore that very question through the story of a new student named Zaina.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in a place that's, well, let's just say it's anything but inspiring. This first part is all about finding that initial spark of an idea in an otherwise pretty gray environment. And it all came down to this one single thought from Zaina, who was new to the school. This was the catalyst for everything that was about to happen. A super simple observation, but one that had so much potential hiding inside it.
To really get what she was feeling, you gotta picture this. The school playground she was looking at was huge, but it was just empty and gray. The whole ground was concrete, there was trash blowing around, and just a couple of old, worn-out benches. It was a space that felt like nobody really cared about it.
So, as Zaina's taking all this in, she turns to her new friend Nancy, who totally agrees the place is, and I'm quoting here, depressing. And then Zaina says something really simple but bold. What if we made a garden? Now, the key part is what she said next. She immediately admitted she had no clue how to grow anything, but she wanted to learn. That little bit of vulnerability, it changed everything.
And that brings us to her first major leadership trait: honesty. You see, by admitting she didn't have all the answers, Zaina wasn't showing weakness at all. She was actually inviting people to help and building trust from the get-go. It was her first and maybe her most important act as a leader.
Okay, so having an idea is one thing, right? But actually doing something about it, that's a whole different ballgame. So how did Zaina go from just a thought to a real, actual plan? Let's break down her process. Zaina didn't just sit around and dream. She got to work. She started by researching school gardens online. Then she put together a simple but really thoughtful proposal, making sure to include not just the good stuff, but the hard parts too. And finally, she prepped herself to go speak at the student council meeting. This wasn't just passion, this was responsible planning. And you have to imagine, this took some serious courage. I mean, getting up in front of the whole student council when you're the new kid with an idea that could easily get shot down, that takes a massive amount of guts. They say her hands were shaking, but her belief in the idea was way stronger than her fear.
And just as you might expect, she got pushback, almost immediately. Some students actually laughed. This quote right here really captures the kind of skepticism she was facing, a moment that could have easily just stopped the whole project right in its tracks.
But her response? Honestly, it was brilliant. Even though she was probably hurt, she totally ignored the personal jab and reframed the whole thing. She said, "This is my school too. Everyone deserves a nice place to learn and enjoy breaks." By making it about everyone, about the community, and not about herself, she completely shifted the vibe in the room.
So how did she get past that resistance? Well, she did something smart. She stopped making it her idea and started making it our project. It was time to build a team.
And this, right here, was the game changer. The biology teacher, Miss Hoda, saw how determined Zaina was, and she didn't just take over. Instead, she became a connector, helping Zaina find other students who might be interested. All of a sudden, the idea started to pick up real momentum. And this is where you really see the power of a good team coming together. Zaina was smart enough to realize that other students had skills that she didn't. Nancy was great with tools, Noah was a talented artist, Amal brought some serious muscle, and Sarah was a natural-born organizer. By empowering each of them, she made the project so much stronger and truly collaborative.
All right, team's in place. Now for the hard part. Because having a team is one thing, but leading them through all the challenges that are bound to pop up, that's what really shows you what a leader's made of.
And look, this thing didn't happen overnight. The first month was all about planning and getting more people on board. The second month was just pure hard work, building, digging, planting. But by month 3, the results were incredible. A beautiful, thriving garden that wasn't just a nice place to hang out, but was also growing vegetables for the school cafeteria.
And through all this, Zaina learned something really profound about what leadership is. The source puts it perfectly. Leadership didn't mean she always had the answers. It meant being responsible for both the successes and the mistakes. Wow, that's a powerful lesson to learn.
Let me give you a perfect example of this in action. At one point, some of the plants started dying. Now, the easy thing to do would have been to start blaming people.
But instead, Zena got the team together to figure out solutions. It was all about solving the problem, not pointing fingers.
And their sense of responsibility didn't just stop with the team. They made a decision to only use eco-friendly methods. No nasty chemicals, just natural fertilizers. So the project became about more than just looking pretty. It became a real lesson in respecting the environment and cutting down on waste.
So, after all that work, what was the real result? Well, the impact of this project went so much deeper than anyone could have possibly imagined. It really was about so much more than just a garden.
I mean, just look at the transformation. It was night and day. Before, they were all just classmates hanging out in a gray, forgotten space. Afterwards, they were a real team with a shared purpose, a new respect for their environment, and a beautiful living garden that was bursting with life.
And the transformation was personal too. Nancy found out she had a real passion for agriculture. Noha's art started popping up around the school, inspiring other people. Amal, who had almost given up, ended up being one of the most dedicated gardeners. And Zana? She learned that her honesty and her willingness to admit she didn't know everything actually made her a better leader.
And that brings us to the biggest lesson from Zana's entire journey, which is just put so beautifully here. Growth doesn't just happen in plants. It also happens in people. And so, we end up right back where we started. This whole story proves that even the smallest ideas can lead to huge, profound changes, as long as people believe in them and are willing to work together. Which really just leaves us with one last question to think about. What small idea could change your world?